We're going to call the meeting to order at this time on this cold February night. And I am privileged to offer prayer for guidance. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of coming together, meeting here in open meeting and being able to steward matters on behalf of the township. Give us wisdom, we pray. And Lord, I pray that we would extend grace just as we've received it from you and be patient and also listen. God, and I just pray you help us to be good leaders. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
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 All right. If you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Seated. All right, I'm going to have you call the roll. I don't see it on my copy, but...
No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
Trustee Kelly.
Present.
Trustee Grassman.
Yes.
Trustee Valdink.
Yes.
Supervisor Wieringa.
Yes.
Clerk Kuiper is here. And Treasurer DeWitt and Trustee Schwalm are absent with notice.
Okay. So we have a quorum. We don't often miss two at one given time, sometimes one. But we've got a quorum. All right. Item 4, approval of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion among the board to approve tonight's agenda?
So move.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. I think there is something that's being added, if I'm not mistaken. Is there not related to computers? Yes, no, maybe so? Oh, it is. Okay. Oh, maybe I've got the, oh, no, it's there. Never mind. All right. I passed it too quick. All right. All in favor of tonight's agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is passed. Item 5, communication letters and reports received for each board member's information. And bringing us to item 6 now, public comments for action items remaining on tonight's agenda. So we ask the audience that's joined us tonight, come and speak if you wish. Yes, Mr. McCarter. Welcome.
Joseph Parnell McCarter, 6408 Renwood, Georgetown Township, volunteer and leader of Save the Campbell effort. I want to thank this board again for the way you have deliberated this issue, as well as allowing an amended version. No matter what decision you make, I want to thank you for the thoughtful way you have approached it. Let me summarize the reasons we need to delay the closure and demolition of the Campbell. 1, the safe thing to do is to follow the recommendation of the 2 preeminent experts on our grid operator MISO and the North American Electric Reliability Corporation. Both recommend delay of closures like the Campbell because they say our grid will be in trouble if we go forward with them. Both assert that solar and wind are not reliable enough for our base load electric. Number 2, there is a viable path forward to delay the closure. 5 township boards have already passed resolutions for delay, more likely, and the county board is now deliberating such a resolution. Michigan law recognizes the need to delay closures if the grid is endangered, which it is. But if Consumers Energy fails to heed a county request for delay, then the county should join Wolverine Power in litigation to delay the closure and demolition. Wolverine Power has already enjoyed success in the courts. If Ottawa County were to join in this effort, it would add the legal weight for delay. Now the federal administration is on the side of delay as well, and there's strong possibility they will weigh in to help delay. MPSC plans do not stop with rapid closure of coal plants. The MPSC is already applying pressure on some gas plants to close as well, reflecting the fact that leaks from gas pipelines mean there is much greenhouse gas effect from gas plants as coal plants. Oil and gas fracking is actually more environmentally problematic than coal mining. Consumers' energy gas plants are thus not safe for non-closure. Number 4, the scrubbing equipment installed on the Campbell to a tune of over $1 billion shows it works to significantly reduce normal pollutant emissions. Regarding CO2, to the extent that should be a concern, carbon capture is showing itself effective on a commercial scale. Number 5, rushing to close the Campbell leads to rushing to restart the Palisades nuclear. But rushing that is far more environmentally risky than the environmental risk associated with the Campbell. Never in the history of the U.S. has a shut-down nuclear plant been restarted because there were economic and technical reasons it shut down in the first place, and now it is in worse shape than it was at the time it was shut down. Consumers Energy sold the Palisades years ago because it was such an economic and technical headache. The former Palisades lead engineer, Alan Blind, and many others are warning of the dangers of trying to restart it, especially if it is done quickly. Thanks for your consideration of this request.
Thank you.
Good evening, Sean Half, Winifred Street. I also support the passing of the Campbell resolution. My friend Joe obviously always comes very prepared with a lot of facts and evidence. I agree completely with what he said. Last time there was some trustees, I think, that were a little skeptical about passing resolutions, and I understand that position. I don't think it's something the board should be doing on a regular basis. But I also think this is something that has come up. A lot of people maybe, like me, weren't paying too much attention to this until I started paying attention to what Joe said. And at first I was skeptical, but as I paid more attention, I realized I think it is a pretty important issue. I don't see any harm in passing the resolution. You know, if it's closed anyways, we did what we could and asked them to proceed with caution. But, you know, if we don't do anything and then it turns out to be not good, a disaster or something like that for us as far as when it comes to electric, I would hate for us to look back and say maybe we should have, you know, taken a stand. We are a big part of Ottawa County. I do think we carry more weight than some of the other smaller communities that have already taken a stand and said they don't agree with closing it. So I'd urge the board this time to vote yes on the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, maybe later. Maybe later. You look like you're ready for the Tigers. You look like. All right, and young lady, nothing? No? All right. We're going to close that public comment period and go to item 7 on our agenda this evening, consent agenda. Is there a motion among the board to approve tonight's consent agenda?
So move.
Support.
Supported? Comments? Concerns? Hearing nothing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is passed. Item 8 now, the Campbell Coal Plant Resolution, which was just addressed by Mr. McCarter and Mr. Taft, and has been deliberated among this board about, I think, as recently as 2 months ago. I know at that time, a couple of you had pointed out some verbiage that you were uncomfortable with. I know in response, Mr. McCarter revised his resolution, and you now have the revised version as part of your agenda. So I think maybe it's incumbent on those who disagreed before to determine whether or not you think the changes have changed your mind at all. So the floor is open.
First, we should probably make a motion. I will make a motion to approve the revised version of the Campbell Plant Resolution.
Support.
Support that.
Okay, moved and supported? Yes.
From a discussion standpoint, am I able to ask a question of the drafter?
Sure.
Mr. McCarter, I obviously was one of the folks who encouraged some language changes here, and I do appreciate the language changes that were made. I think they encompass my hesitations because the whereas statements still feel sort of broad and curious, and we might not have the final answer, but we think caution should be employed. And so I do like that language, but we do still end on that the request is for support in delay and closure and demolition of this plant. Do you envision this resolution to be a delay in closure and demolition to what was originally slated, or indefinite?
I think originally it's 2040, if I'm not mistaken. Do you want to speak into the microphone here? Do we need that for purposes of the camera? I think we do. So, if you would.
Well, the answer from my standpoint, is politics is compromise. And I'm not the one, I can tell you what I would like to be the case. But obviously, at the end of the day, it's probably going to be a matter of compromise, assuming that it can be delayed, right? And so I think it will be an ongoing issue of whether this is how quickly. Okay, my hope is at least will be delayed, right? But then I do think that it was built to last till 2040. Okay, the over $1 billion of anti-polluting equipment was put on Unit 3, so it would last to 2040. That was the plan, and I think there will be a continued debate if it isn't closed and demolished about when that end date should be. I think it can last till 2040. I personally am a believer in coal if you do all the environmental things that should be done. That's a huge if, but that's easy. Actually, the anti-pollutants, the anti-polluting equipment is extremely effective in getting rid of the non-carbon dioxide emissions. Very effective. The issue of the carbon dioxide emissions, for those who have a concern, carbon capture is very effective now. It's commercially being done. China's doing it even. It's being done worldwide. So it is an effective method to deal, to the extent people believe the carbon dioxide is a problem. Carbon capture is very real, and the Trump administration is going to put money into it. Actually, the Biden administration was already putting money into it. So I just feel I can go through as far as also even in terms of you had issues of the fly ash and dumping them in the ground. Well, actually, all of those byproducts should really be used, even if they have to be somewhat subsidized to be used, so you're not just dumping them in some place and they become an environmental hazard. I'm just saying, unlike some other alternatives, I think that coal actually has real answers to the environmental. Everything causes environmental problems, but if we do it right, whereas I feel with certain other things, the answers are far harder. Nuclear, for instance, we still don't have a good place to store nuclear waste. No one wants it in their backyard. And so, besides the huge costs. So anyway, I'm a coal fan. Obviously, a lot of people are not. So, but I don't make the decision. So I don't really know how to answer that other than saying I think it's going to be a matter of political discussion and debate. If we can delay it, how long before it closes down? Technically speaking, it can easily last till 2040.
Thank you. You can sit down. That was really helpful for my, I apologize unless other people have questions, but just for discussion's sake, right, as I said, I was one of the ones who encouraged some of the language changes. I think there, for me, there still is some challenges like Mr. Half brought up, right? The idea of resolution passing for resolution passing, I still, for the record, have some issue with. But Mr. McCarter's response to my question, I think, kind of caps off what some of my hesitations were, in that I don't necessarily support the idea of this resolution saying wholeheartedly we're going to do whatever it takes to keep this plant open and coal is the way or the highway. I think what I can support and what I find worthy of some recognition here is it's not often that the government should get involved with a private entity's decision-making. Their business practices are their business practices, but when it does cross the line into impacting our residents' welfare, I think it's fair for us to ask some questions. And my support of the resolution is on the questioning side of things. We've now raised enough questions that I think are worthy of having that private entity respond to a little bit more formally. I don't know that it ultimately means that this will delay it, but I do think it sheds some light on the publicity of it and the questions that the public is now kind of demanding answers to. And I think it's appropriate for us to be the mediator, the facilitator in trying to get some of those questions answered regardless of what the outcome is. I just felt the need to share that.
Okay, good. Sounds like you support with those caveats.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
I guess I had one question. I went out to the plant this weekend and just looked around. There's a lot of coal that was there this summer that's no longer there. It's in boxcars, and it's like they've got the process in place of shutting the place down, which if it's in June, if that's the date, then I'm sure they've got the tools in motion right now. But has there been any response from Port Sheldon Township? It seems to me that they would be the most affected at right on the onset being there. So I understand some of the other townships nearby and surrounding have chimed in, but anything from Port Sheldon Township or why they haven't jumped on board with supporting this?
I think from the get-go, Consumers Energy has done a good job of staying focused on Port Sheldon Township, on selling them as to why it should close down. And frankly, there was not saying, wait, what is this going to do for our grid? Another thing about that is a place doesn't necessarily want a coal plant in their backyard, right? So actually, that is, I think, another facet when we talk about Port Sheldon Township, that there are negatives. I don't deny there are negatives to having a coal plant in your township. To have a hiking path, great, but you have to also, but our whole region depends on a good, reliable electric grid. You might not want it in your backyard, but it's got to be somewhere. So I'm just saying what I think are some of the factors. I do think, though, I'm hearing more misgivings. For instance, they're going to lose the money to dredge the Indian Lake Channel. That costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're going to do it on and obviously their taxes are going to be hugely affected. And I think even hopefully some arguments about, we have an electric grid problem here. So I'm hearing word that maybe they are starting to change their minds on this. But it has been they've been one of the most uphill battles. Because, like I say, the consumers are focused a lot of their effort on persuading them, putting money in. They've been given money by Consumers Energy to help in the transition process. So, a guy from Georgetown Township coming and telling them, no, the whole direction you're going is wrong. It's not something they necessarily wanted to hear and wouldn't buy anyway. So I'm just saying, those are uphill battles.
Okay, thank you.
I spoke to that supervisor, by the way, about it. I'm not at liberty to share, but you're right. They didn't come out. They didn't come out in opposition. They have the reasons, as Mr. McCarter said. Yeah. Anyone else? No. Well, all right. Well, this is going to be a roll call, and a yes would be to issue this resolution on behalf of the township. So.
Trustee Veldink?
Yes.
Trustee Grassman?
Yes.
Supervisor Wieringa?
Yes.
Clerk Kuiper is a yes. Trustee Kelly?
Yes.
5 in favor, it passes.
Thank you, and thank you, board, for your thoughtfulness the last time, as well as in between time, doing some of your due diligence and asking good questions of Mr. McCarter. Mr. McCarter, I always say you get more substance and weight into 3 minutes than most people get in 30, so you're pretty concise.
Well, I appreciate him going back and, clarifying some things too from the last time. So that was very helpful. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Item number 9, the election computers emergency purchase. Is there someone who'd like to place this before the board?
So moved.
Support?
Moved and supported. We have, obviously, Emma Reagan here tonight. We've got others who can speak to this. I want to make clarification right from the outset. We're talking about the the Dell computers, not the voting machines. Excuse me, right? Yeah, okay.
The ones you check your
'cause-
ID on and,
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, because my initial reaction, and I talked about it with the office ahead of the meeting, was I thought we didn't, that long ago, got some of those, those machines, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the computers, and they're like 5 years old or something.
When I got here in 22.
Yeah, yeah. How long do laptops last, right? Dell laptops, right? Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, yeah.
So we are having problems with the ones that we have now. Update all of them. We've got some of them that will freeze through USB drives. We've pulled some of our extras to put into use there that we normally have here for our use.
and this election just came up.
Correct.
So it wasn't something that we were planning on until next year, right?
We were planning on doing it next year, but there is a grant where if we can purchase them before the end of February, we can get reimbursed for at least a portion of the expenses, probably most of it, if not all of it.
That'd be
The
good.
grant, so we decided to go ahead. So we are going through the county to order those, because several jurisdictions are using the county to purchase for this grant purpose as well, and they can get a better price on those before they order.
Okay. Nice.
And I talked to Rob today that the computers are just for election purposes too. Just to get that clear out there, that this is not something that's transferred anywhere within the township. These are election computers. That's what they're designated for. That's what they stay with.
Okay.
So,
And that's a good clarification. Another point of clarification, I think, is sometimes, I know I certainly hear it, you may as well, concerns about voting software and the like, and how safe and secure and all. This is not what we're talking about here.
right.
Albeit some of that's loaded onto these eventually through the county. And that's where the decision-making is taking place. And we need to, and I know that Clerk Roebuck seems to do so, but we need to be vigilant in terms of what's loaded on these, and what sort of system is being used, and can we express the confidence to our residents about the sanctity of their vote, So these are just the hardware, the computers.
Yep.
Just the ones that have the where you're actually registering to say that you're here with your ID.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that computer.
Yeah.
That's the only function of that computer, and that's all that will be replaced.
Okay.
It's not a web-based application. It's an application that gets loaded on prior to the election. It's set in stone after a certain moment in time. So it's not a live, web-based service. It's simply a piece of software that's used on a very simple laptop.
Yep.
Good.
Okay.
What, out of curiosity, Amber, if you know, what happens to the ones then that are 5 years old and we're replacing? There's not much market, I imagine, for a 5-year-old laptop, but.
We're actually more than likely going to give those back to the county. They have to put on them, and there are certain things that have to be done according to the state to remove all of that.
Got it.
It's not up for public consumption.
Got it. Okay.
Sense.
Okay. Other comments? All right, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Item 10 is the beginning of several potential motions here related to purchases for our fire department. I see tonight we have Chief DeWitt. Also have one of our captains. We appreciate you guys being here, so thank you very much. Why are you smiling? Are you not you're a captain?
Deputy Chief.
Oh, sorry. What's higher? Okay, it's higher. Thank you. I knew he was a captain.
Now you offended
This
them.
year, or
Huh?
last year. Happened
Just
this-
all right. All right.
Yeah.
Once a captain, always a captain. All right, so they're here for any questions and input that you have among any of these. So item 10, the purchase of a Chevrolet Tahoe. Is there a motion to approve of this
So
purchase?
moved.
Support.
Moved and supported, by the way, came out of services.
Yes.
The vehicle being replaced is the one that sits right out here. I think, Chief DeWitt, you drive, yep, Suburban. And do you get it's a special program, we get a good price.
The purchasing program for the state of Michigan, My Deals, so that satisfies the multi-bid requirement. So it's the best price we can get through that process.
I drive a Tahoe, a 16 Tahoe, and I looked at the price, I said, I can't get that price.
I know. I said the same thing.
Driving a 16 Tahoe. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Yeah, anybody. We've had 10 years on the other one, so it's gotten
Yep,
good.
and they're going to
good
sell
use.
the other one, the current one, so,
Mhm.
yep.
You don't mind a red one, right? And take off the decals. Yep. All right. Hearing nothing further, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the Tahoe will be purchased. Item 11, extrication equipment for the fire department. Is there a motion to approve of this equipment?
So moved.
Support?
Okay, moved and supported. Been on the board long enough to have remembered the last time we purchased some, albeit I'm sure it's not a singular purchase and isn't necessarily replacing what we bought before, but I've certainly been a part of approving past equipment of this nature and have had the past chief explain its importance and all. Is there anything you'd like to add to this particular set of equipment that you think we should know about? Yeah.
We're basically taking old equipment and we're getting new to replace the last set in our set of all the stations. We got one station that still has the old stuff. So we're just getting up to the same standards for interoperability, that everything will work on the same platform across all 3 stations. So.
All right.
Just the battery powered one again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's on a Milwaukee 20-volt battery system. Then we can share the batteries across all 3 stations. So you're talking cordless versus a cord.
Yeah.
Did we buy 2 of those last time?
Picture your vacuum with a cord, and everybody's got a cordless vacuum. It's the kind of same concept.
Untethered, yeah.
Yep.
So you can get to more locations.
Exactly.
Easier.
Got something out in the field, you got a special rescue, something that you can get to.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about cords.
Okay. Yep.
Did we buy 2 of those last time?
This would be for this set. It's a spreader, a cutter, and a ram. That's your typical set of tools.
Yeah. But I know we approved some previously.
Yep.
I didn't know if we're just, did some stations not get one? And we just.
Yeah, some stations had some, so we've updated. We've been going around to each station and slowly upgrading them.
Okay.
This is the last station.
Okay.
Yeah, for the last
Okay.
truck. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions either for the chief or any comments among the board? Okay. Well, I think we'd all appreciate having this if we should ever need it for ourselves and certainly for our residents.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Do you wish to speak at all to number 12 since you're up here? Or?
Yep.
Why don't you? That'd be good. Thanks, Chief.
Our fire gear is extremely expensive, so we put in commercial washers. There's not really a commercial dryer per se. So this system, basically over the years, we've had to air dry our equipment.
Picture on the boat.
So we basically just throw the gear where we can and spread it out to dry. It takes over 24 hours to dry the gear in this condition. So these dryers are kind of like a commercial dryer, but not the typical sense like your home where you just throw it in a dryer, turn it on, and it's done. It's basically an outline of tubing that you hang the gear and it suspends, and then it pumps heat through the gear to help dry it from the inside out. We have to take the shells apart, the outside and the inner shell. We have to separate those when we go to wash, and then when we go to dry, it's the same thing. So we'll put it over this like kind of mannequin type of piping system, pump heat into it, and within a matter of hours, we can have it dry. That way our firefighters are ready to go. The problem with throwing your gear away into the wash, yes, you're trying to get all your carcinogens and all that stuff that's causing firefighter cancer, but you're out of service until you can get that gear back in service. So speed that up and get firefighters back on the lines.
And you told us in services that you sometimes have multiple calls in a row where you literally need to dry your stuff and then you're going out again.
Yep, exactly.
So
How many will that hold?
It'll be a set of 4. Yep, so we'll put one of those at each station. So we can do a set of 4, and then the station 2 has the dive team. So we have a specialty set that can invert the gear, because if you think about a wetsuit or like a dry suit that you zip up,
Right.
it needs to hang upside down so that moisture can come out. There's no way for it to dry with that kind of rubber membrane. So this will allow that moisture to come out, still pump hot air in it, and dry it out thoroughly. This prevents mold, bacteria, all that kind of stuff. Some of the places that we swim and dive are not so clean. So
No, it's good. I've put in those commercial turnout gear dryers in already.
Yep.
And they're very limited. You can probably put 2 in there.
Yep.
But I think they found that only one before they went dust, you're only doing one at a time because when they put two in, it took them too long and too much moisture.
You're talking the washing?
Dryer.
Oh, the dryer.
They had a vent on that thing, probably this big around.
Okay.
So it's at Lockport Fire Department. So I was always wondering how that worked because it was like big fire department had just one dryer and one washer. It's like, but I could see this would be nice. You can,
Yep. We try to rotate through who's
yeah,
washing.
you can kind of move them down a little bit. Yeah.
So we don't have everybody just throw their gear in the washer because
Right.
obviously you'd have the whole department out of service.
Right.
So we rotate through who's washing and who's drying.
Mm-hmm.
Get everybody through. And especially in a smoky environment, any kind of smoky environment, that's the stuff that we don't want to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
It off gases off our gear. So the biggest thing is getting back, get it washed as soon as possible.
Makes sense.
Yep.
All right, is there a motion to approve of the turnout gear and the equipment dryer purchase?
So move.
Support?
Okay, any comments among the board? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it is passed. Thank you, Chief. Item 13, this is lawn care and fertilization contract related to the Fire Department 2025. Is there a motion to approve this contract with Priest?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Priest.
Support.
Support.
Been supported. They've been a vendor of ours off and on for a period of time. They do a good job. We hear good things, don't we? Mainly we hear, when you hear nothing, that's a good thing. That's when you hear things that you don't want to, you know. Anything that either you wish to say or anyone among the board or services where this came through?
It's pretty incredible that one of our guys has been doing all of the mowing this time. It feels like the time has come. I said with a lot of these items, we deserve nice things. We're a wonderful community. We have an amazing fire department. You know, it's okay to spend some
Say it
money.
again. Just say it again.
We deserve nice things.
You.
We do. We deserve nice things as a community. And I think it's important that we embrace that. It doesn't mean, you know, spending willy-nilly, but we deserve nice things. We deserve to support you guys. You know, the time has come. He doesn't need to spend all of his time mowing the grass at the fire stations. He's a firefighter. He should spend his time being a firefighter. So I think it's a long time coming, and I'm happy to see it come before our board.
Yeah. Ditto.
The thing is, if you're a guy like me who likes to mow grass, you want to make sure it's okay that you took it away from him. That's all. I'm just saying.
Looking at the maintenance guy that started
Okay, I'm just.
here 2000 and had been mowing it for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's what I did. And it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting a call and having to dump the trailer off
Right.
somewhere, trying to figure out where, squeezing it in between rain, run a call, come back, work late to finish the lawn.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work.
It's time.
Did it for a lot of years.
And I think that's the most important thing is that should we need him doing his primary job as a firefighter, the time lost in finding a parking lot, parking that trailer, unhooking the trailer, making sure that the trailer is locked so somebody can't steal it, then getting back in your car and heading to the call is legitimate time lost on a call that could really impact, you know, the safety and welfare of somebody in our community. And I, for one, would not want somebody monkeying with a lawnmower if my life needed to be saved. So,
Well said.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Mhm.
Very good. All right, the motion is before you. Board, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Deputy Chief. Appreciate you gentlemen's time. Item number 14, Rush Creek parking lot improvements. Significant one here. So, came through services. Is there a motion to approve the parking lot replacement?
So move.
Support?
Supported. Okay, as you saw, and as I know services has been looking at for some time, there are multiple options that were presented.
Yes.
This is what's referred to as option 2 and what you received. It was the loop option only with, help me Kelly and Amy, fewer parking spaces.
yep.
More than we have currently, but fewer than what option 3 would have.
Yeah, option 1 would have ended in a dead end at that utility access there on the south and not looped all the way around. This is option 2 with a looped road, which really improves traffic safety, efficiency, movement of vehicles in that area. But option 3, even more expensive, would have had additional parking than on that, we call it naked road, right on that naked side of there. Without us looking further at all of the improvements in terms of facilities there, it didn't feel warranted to have more parking at this time. But it is something that, dependent upon the improvements we make to that park or the facilities, you can always add parking there. So it felt like a prudent, improvement for the time being.
And it's very resident-driven because a lot of the people in the Georgetown Forest obviously use that park. And I think the safety of having the turnaround and improving, I mean, the driveway right now is so old and decrepit. It's one lane. You can't park. The current design is just old. It should be updated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter what, we needed to make an improvement there because the street is in such poor condition. So
It is bad.
And
It's been bad for a couple, 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's got that new play structure, and we just added the WeGo handicap swing and the handicap accessible merry-go-round. So it would be nice to have a parking lot that those people can, our special needs friends and residents can use.
The only question I have is the 22-foot wide road. Pretty narrow. I always notice that going into that place too. It's a very narrow drive. You got 20-foot parking spots, you're backing on the 22-foot drive. So
And it's
I know it's more money, but I'm just making that observation.
wider than the current.
It is wider. Okay, so they are making it wider than what it is.
Yeah,
Because what's there now is narrow.
narrow.
Yes, it is narrow.
You almost got to bring one tar off to the side if somebody passes you. So,
So this will offer two-way, but
okay, so you are going wider?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Then that answers my question too, because I was assuming you were just going to make it the same width and it was 22 feet. But if it's narrower than that, then we are improving it.
Good.
Good.
Good question, good answer.
I knew I shouldn't have questioned you guys, and you guys are always on top. But I'm sorry, I apologize.
thank you,
Please.
Mr. Belvin.
Few things that we do here impact people as tangibly as park improvements. And there are some, but these are ones that you improve quality of life more directly, more obviously than other things that are necessary, but they don't notice, Things that are buried in the ground and otherwise. Kevin, want to look down, any thoughts about this?
No, I sat in the meeting when we discussed the 3 different options, and I think that the second option is way to go.
Okay. All right. Very good then. Go back here. So hearing no further discussion on the matter, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Item 15, first reading of ordinance number 2024-05, cemetery revision ordinance. Is there a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of this ordinance?
So move.
Support?
And moved and supported. I know that Diemter came to services and the one I missed and addressed some of this. So does one of you on services wish to I don't know, just elucidate anything about it? Your thoughts?
Sure. It's a relatively simple strikeout of some text, just speaking to some tree preservation. I think that was a wonderful goal when the original ordinance was written. However, trees are the bane of existence of a cemetery. You just simply can't have trees with deep roots where you anticipate to have a cemetery ground. So for the necessary expansion of our cemetery, we just need to make sure that our language kind of allows the expansion in some of these areas that were originally called out as, so we're at a point where we now have, so many residents here. Not only that, we don't limit our cemetery purchases to our residents. We offer cemetery purchases to non-residents. We have a beautiful cemetery, and our rates are really friendly financially to most people. So it's a very desirable place.
People are dying to get in.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we're very close to being out of space as it stands. It's a pretty critical move for us.
So to be clear, the strikeout in item 6 is the only thing that's being done. All of the other verbiage there is already part of this
Correct.
particular ordinance. Yep.
Yep.
So to the sort of devil's advocate side of this, what did Rod say when you'd say, well, I drive by our cemetery currently, we have trees in there that are still there, and you have graves nearby them and so on.
Yeah, and that was a question of mine too, because if you think through, visiting a cemetery, obviously there's a lot of people who want to, visit the graves of their loved ones after they have passed, and, whether it's frequently or on the anniversary of their death, but we want it to be a nice place for people to come visit. At the end of the day, it is a cemetery, but it's also a park feature. So it was important to me to think through, how can we at some point preserve some trees or add some back in? And one of the things Rod is working on for us is to take the expansion area that we've identified in the current cemetery area so that we can, it's not a super formal tree survey, if you will, but he's going to go through and maybe look to a couple of trees, more than a couple hopefully, but a few of the trees that can be preserved while maintaining the efficiency of the layout we have. But there is a lot of trees that are already dying and on the outs there, so it's important that we clean those up. But we are going to try to preserve a few on, let's say, the corners of a section. You just have to make sure you plan for either the existing roots, or if you plant new trees, the expansion of the roots. So our goal would be to keep a few select trees that appear to be healthy and look like they'll continue to live. And then after enough time has passed, we can look to going back and implanting some other shrubbery or something that will sort of boost the beautification of that area. But big oak trees, for example, are likely not the right fit for a cemetery. But
Correct.
So I'm putting it on you, Amy, that this is a 4-year term on services. We're in the first of those 4.
Yep.
Year 4, I want you to bring up adding back in shrubbery and
Okay.
things of that nature while we still have the ability and the institutional memory of
Okay,
right?
yes.
Putting something back in there. Right?
Sure.
Make it look nice. But yeah, your point's well taken. Rod's point.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Anyone? No? This is a roll call vote. And that's the clerk to call the roll.
Clerk Kuiper is yes. Trustee Grassman?
Yes.
Trustee Veldink?
Yes.
Supervisor Wieringa?
It's just a first reading, though. I'm questioning myself now. Guys, I mean, being a first reading,
We just accept it?
we really
Do we just all in favor?
motioning to do anything with it as yet, or simply
No.
we've completed the first reading?
We'll come back. With the proposal for the removal of the trees. Last meeting, we had discussed, we had a proposal for a partial removal, and the services decided, let's do it all. So we'll come back with that full proposal and second reading.
Okay, I don't mind us completing our vote if all it is approving this introduction and first reading. It's not a final approval of what happened. Okay, sorry to cut you off wherever you were in the roll call.
Okay, one final. Trustee Kelly?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Item number 16, second public comment period. Anyone wishing to address us on any topic may come forward at this time. You have 3 minutes. Mr. McCloskey.
My name's McCloskey, at 36 in Baldwin. I have a question for the guy that's worried about the Campbell deal. What do they do with the fly ash? When they burn the coal, they got waste. What do they do with the fly ash?
That's a great question. And do you mind, Mr. McCloskey, if that gentleman's still here, Mr. McCarter, if he had addressed you personally about that afterward? As curious as we all may be, we try to leave this for your chance to talk to us.
Okay.
And maybe he'll use this as his chance to come forward and answer your question. I don't know.
Well, let me continue. When I lived in Wisconsin, fly ash that was used over there, 100 pounds of it goes into the concrete. And with the different types of strength of concrete that the people want, you can put 100 pounds of fly ash. It's supposed to make it stronger.
How about Gary knew
Heard
that?
that?
Yep.
So do they use any fly ash here? Go into the concrete? That's what, that's my question is.
Still do.
Huh?
They still do.
So they do use fly ash here yet? Okay, so the waste product from there goes into a product that we use.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Who knew? Apparently Gary did, and maybe Mr.
Thank
McCarran.
you.
Yeah. Yes.
Joseph Parnell McCarter, 6408 Renwood, Georgetown Township. I do want to thank each of you for passing the resolution. It does mean a lot. Georgetown Township means a lot in the county. With respect to the gentleman's question about, yes, actually all the products that the byproducts from the coal plant can be commercially used. And actually the Consumers Energy is now starting to use that to clean up the deposits there right now. Actually, that should have been done, in my opinion, from the beginning, that it all be used. What's really changing, though, is it contains, those byproducts contain rare earth minerals. In other words, used for battery production, which is very important in terms of what our economy is trying to do. So actually, those byproducts are going to become extremely valuable. So you don't have to mine it in Africa or other situations. What I would ask the board to start to think about, obviously we have the immediate issue of simply trying to delay the closure. But I do think a larger issue, and really each township has to consider it in the county as well, and that is electric is something just like water and sewer that frankly is a natural monopoly. And someone has got, the government has to regulate it. Right now it's the Michigan Public Service Commission for those parts of the county that don't have it municipalized, like Grand Haven, Holland, and Zeeland. They control it themselves, the electric there. But for the rest of the county, we're Consumers Energy, but it's closely regulated by Michigan Public Service Commission. The question is, should instead that control be done more locally? We do actually have legal avenues for that to happen, and that is an issue which I think the county and each of the townships that don't have municipalized electric at this point should really be considering. My own view is that it would be better to have local control just like we have water and sewer. That's my view. I just have, Zeeland, the residents are paying 58% less. Much of the state doesn't have this two-tier system. I don't know if you find that inconvenient. I know my wife does. And, there are many other reasons. Even the fact that this decision was made by Consumers Energy, I think without due consideration of what we think in the local area. So anyway, this is a decision that political leaders here, I think, will have to be making. Do we want to have more local control, or do we want the Michigan Public Service Commission to continue to control this?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I forgot something.
Well, you've had a chance. I'm sorry, we usually allow only one time, but we will be here as soon as the meeting adjourns. All right? Oh, okay. Sounds like something in the theme of what we're talking about here with energies. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? All right. We appreciate all you. We appreciate you, board members. Anything among the board tonight for general discussion, information? I know one thing I was going to, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to share that the Planning Commission and the ZBA got together last week, Wednesday, for a little training. Pretty informative. Well, there's a lot of veterans on both of those boards, so a lot of people, feel like they maybe don't need the training, but I still think it's important for all of us to get together. And there was a new face on the Planning Commission, so it was a nice time for us to all jointly discuss planning and zoning for the township.
Great. Yeah. Good. Brian Reed, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Good. Good. I was just going to mention as you go, I don't know if you get the MTA emails, I think we all do, but once in a while they'll have a really interesting topic, whether you can do it by Zoom or whether you can do it in person. And just understand that in your position, each of your positions, that you see something catch your eye and I want to know more about this. I think the township should know more about this. We'll cover the cost of whatever that seminar might be, and sometimes it's, as I say, remote, and sometimes it's in person, and either way, make sure you know you can avail yourself of that, so.
Thank you.
There's one in Kauai next month, ain't there?
Yeah, I think Manette's here right now.
Just curious.
Covering for us. No.
Yeah.
All right.
Good one.
Hearing nothing further, your motion to adjourn?
So move.
Support?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned. Thank you.